I wonder, to what degree, if I were to ask you the question, is your vision having the impact that you want? Would you say, yes, Viv, it's a 10, or maybe no, Viv, it's around about a 2 or 3? I know from the number of heads that we work with that there can be a sticking point when it comes to vision and the impact that it's having on their leadership and in their school. And very often, once we've worked with them or had a few conversations, it becomes clear there is a reason why. And that's because of the story, the vision that has brought the head teacher into that community in the first place isn't out there enough. It hasn't been shared in a way to make the impact and the connection between their inner why and the bigger why. Now, as a coach and as a school leader, I've been doing this work with heads for over, I think, 3 decades now. Gosh, that makes me feel really old. But I feel really strongly about this. And the invitation as you watch this recording today is to ask yourself, my why, the school's why, how deep is the connection? To what degree is my story and the reason why I stepped into leadership influencing how I lead, influencing how staff connect to the vision, and influencing outcomes for the young people in our care? If you stay with me, I'm going to show you a very simple 3-step process for helping you to unravel that and to hopefully get much clearer about the steps you need to make if you want your answer to that question: how great an impact is my vision having my own story on the school environment for it to be a 10? So I hope you've got your paper and a pen to hand, and we'll just move straight in. So here are 3 things that I'll encourage you to do, and 3 points that I'll go over in greater detail. 1, writing your leadership story, or if you have already written it, going back to it and getting into a deeper relationship with it. 2, I'll be sharing with you how to align your personal story with your school's vision and aspirations for your community. And then 3, how to use coaching to help staff deepen their connection. And I mean their connection in 3 ways: their connection to your story, their connection to the vision, and their connection to their story. Why have they chosen to serve in your school? Why have they chosen to serve the community of which your school is a part? So I know this makes a difference. And before I share those 3 steps or greater detail on the how, just want to share this quote with you. We'll call her Shona. Shona was an executive head of 2 schools. And when we came to the end of our work together, this is what she shared with me. Coaching far exceeded my expectations. Somehow you managed to draw out of me answers to the questions that I had in my head. I was able to rationalize what was going on across the 2 schools. What you did was you gave me time and space to find myself, and I have come out a better person. So let's delve into this a bit deeper, going with the first one. What has story got to do with this? What were the kind of questions that I asked Shona that put her on this path and enabled her to say this at the end of our coaching relationship together? So, in inviting Shona, and as I'm inviting you today to write your leadership story, these are the questions I'd like you to consider. Why did you become a leader? Your purpose is so key. Now, I know for myself, I didn't deliberately become a school leader or a head teacher, but when I look back and when I find an answer to these questions, it was to do with my school experiences, which weren't very good or weren't very happy ones, but nevertheless, they shaped me. Number 2, reflect on your challenges. How have they shaped you? Every single school leader that I have worked with has been shaped by what has happened in their past. And when we can identify for the good, that's brilliant. That becomes leverage for the work that we do. And when we can identify the not so good, maybe where it's caused individuals to become risk averse or to be defensive, again, that all is information that can shape your understanding of how you are holding leadership today. And then finally, once you've answered questions 1 and 2, define your philosophy. How do you see education and leadership? I know for myself, now looking back on the decades and again being in constant, I suppose, conversation with these questions, I would very much say that for me, the way in which I hold leadership as Director of Integrity Coaching is to do with enabling the leaders that we work with to recognize that they are stewards of the future. And all of this work, everything that we do as educators, is about creating a better future for those who are coming after us. For you, it may be different, but answering these questions will help you to find an answer that feels right and is meaningful for you. Number 2, find a way to align your story with the school's vision. Now, this is really, really important. If you've done stage 1 and you're clear about your why and you're really anchored to it, then the next bit, if we think of it like crossing a bridge, is okay, how do I then use this story to really connect with the bigger why, that circle I showed you at the beginning? And I've said here, find creative and experiential methods to do this, because this is about then how you enable your staff, the wider community, to connect with your why, to connect with your vision, because this is key. As I say here, they need ways to connect your story to the school's vision and moral purpose. If they're going to have buy-in, if they're going to have a sense of connection to what it means to be in the school that you are leading, that matters. Bullet point number 2, ensure staff understand and connect with the vision, emotionally, not just procedurally. If I were in conversation with you here now, I'm sure you would say to me, yeah, Viv, that's really important, because I know when staff make decisions that aren't connected morally or emotionally to the community we serve, there's often a disconnect, and they make a decision that actually does not serve the greater interests of our community. So again, that bigger why piece, it matters. And then 3, promote a psychologically safe environment for staff to share their own vision and goals. Well, that's important, because if I'm saying here story matters, what I also know is sharing our stories, it takes us to vulnerable places. We are being invited not only to share the really wonderful bits and the highs, but the lows as well. And that is necessary if we're going to get a real purchase on what's inside of us and how it motivates us and the decisions that we make. And 3, use coaching to embed the vision. Now, this is really, really important. You have a variety of conversations day in and day out with your staff. A lot of the time, they might be to do with checking in, checking performance, checking how things are going. Coaching invites a different type of conversation. And for me, it's the type of conversation that brings about transformation. And it's for these reasons. 1, coaching conversations can help staff to overcome self-limiting beliefs. So where you have staff, where their inner narrative, or sometimes even the outer narrative, is I can't, or to be defensive, coaching finds a way, enables you to ask the questions that enables them to be more solution-focused. How it does that is through creating a culture of active listening. Now, I want to believe that in your classrooms, that's brilliant. And you know what I mean by active listening. But what I have found is that when it comes to adult conversations, the active listening isn't always as it should be. But if we can encourage that, that again promotes the cultures of psychological vulnerability and feeling safe. And if we can get better at asking high-level questions of one another, then what we find is that our staff connect more with their stories. They find ways to move out of their comfort zones. They find meaning in the challenges of teaching and leadership. And rather than being defensive and rather than saying that I can't, they recognize that being a part of your school, with all that that brings, is a journey of growth. And coaching conversations can enable that. And what we know is that when individuals share their story, find ways to enable the wider community and staff to engage with that story, use coaching to embed all of that, then we know the impact that it has. As I'm sharing with you here, we see improved staff engagement, confidence and accountability, increased staff retention, Of course, we want improved student performance. And a lot of that is generated by there being a greater alignment between the individual goals that staff hold and wider school goals and outcomes. So I really want to encourage you to think about, as I said at the very beginning, sharing your story. It matters. There will never, ever be another one of you. So your story, particularly if you're holding the role of headship, deserves to be out there in the world. Because when your vision is grounded in your story and coaching is used to support school improvement, as I say here, everyone flourishes. Staff, they have greater ownership. We see our young people thriving, and we see a culture that supports individuals becoming more and more of their greater selves. So think back to the question that I asked you at the beginning. What difference would it make if you were braver and a bit more courageous and found ways to tell more of your story and to embed it more explicitly and to wed it, I should say, to the vision of your school? And if you want to do that and go on a deeper journey, then I'd invite you to purchase a copy of my recent book, Learning to Walk in the Dark. This is part of my leadership story, a story that I didn't know had another chapter, but it did. When 2 years ago I was diagnosed with a rare cancer. Of course, I'm on the other side of it now. But in this book, Learning to Walk in the Dark, I use coaching because I believe in it so much. I use a series of coaching questions that will help you to delve deeper into your own leadership journey, make sense of the challenges you have faced, understand more fully how the highs and the lows have shaped who you are today. So go well, be brave, be courageous, get your story out there into the world, into your school community.